Welcome to the Game of Risk, everyone. I'm your host, OliveXC, a top player at this game. And today we are doing Tutor Tuesday, where I review a subscriber game and help them and you, the viewer, get better at the game of Risk. Today's game comes from Hot Buns, a grandmaster-ranked Risk player. Here's Hot Buns right here. She streams all the time on Twitch and has her own YouTube, so make sure to go and check her out. And she is playing a 6-player classic fixed game right now. And she is the pink player this game, and being very honest, has a very, very bad start right now. When I look at the different players and the options that they have, I can see the red player going for Australia. The blue player is going to be going for Africa. The green player will be going for South America. The yellow player, beautiful start. They'll be going for Europe. And with the purple player leaving their troops here, they're going for North America. Hot Puns basically is in a position where you have to challenge someone else for a continent. And I don't know, hope you just don't die. And Hot Buns does decide to go for Europe, and they aggressively attack yellow. And if you guys notice in the upper right hand side, they make an alliance with yellow after the yellow gives support, and then yellow immediately rejects it. So yes, Hot Buns is in a lot of trouble right now. And this is why I wanted to select this game right here, you guys, because this has happened to you in all of your Risk games where you're playing, you are in a horrible spot, and you need to figure out how you can try to stay alive. So the most common thing to do is to always just try to park yourself somewhere in Asia to just try and stay alive. This can work very well if your opponents are being very aggressive. And if they are going to be attacking everyone else, in turn, you can eventually take a continent once 1 or 2 players on the board is eliminated and the board opens up a lot. The second option is the challenge the player option. And this is the one where, as the yellow player slow rolls, they should just be blitzing right away if they choose to attack. Because 6v2 is 100%, and a slow roll 6v2, that can fail. But you guys can see, this yellow player wants to kill Hot Buns. And because the Hot Buns chose to be aggressively going for a continent, they have angered the noob player, and they shall receive the wrath. So it's going to be interesting to see how she's able to recover. As we wait for the next player's turn, as the other players establish their continents, one thing I think that's really cool about Hot Buns is her professionals are really well made. If you actually look at her setup, she has really nice lighting, a very professional mic as she's speaking. And if you actually go to the very beginning of her video, she actually has subtitles and a nice little hook to kind of get you into it. She does these videos really well professionally done. And I think over time, she's going to become pretty big in the Risk community. I mean, I can also be putting in subtitles a little bit. That takes a lot of time, so I will probably stick to only using subtitles for communications or memes like this. But now as I look at the other players here, going back to this game, I really think the green player should be taking over South America now. Them leaving their troops like this is, you can tell, yellow player isn't going to be doing anyone any favors. And you can see the yellow player is also very, very angry with Hot Buns, and they have just gone hard into them. And now Hot Buns is only on 10 troops left. And out of those remaining troops, 2 of these are just in no man's land. There's no strategic priority. This 3 will be eliminated by the red player, and the only thing left is this 5. The only thing kind of going Hot Buns' way is that blue is not really pushing for Africa. And that means Hot Buns may be able to try to push for Africa a little bit. So I like how she's leaving her troops there. While she is in kill range, which I define someone being like under like 15 to 20 troops, depending on the aggressiveness and skill level of the opponents that you're facing, because she's spread out in 3 locations, scratch that, now she's in 2 locations, she can die at any time. If the green player has a set, honestly, the green player doesn't even need to have a set here. If they wanted to be really aggressive against hot buns, they could place everything on their 3, make this a 12, make 2 attacks, and in making this a 10v7, which is very, very likely to succeed. And with a 10 set, they absolutely should be killing hot buns here. I'm sorry, hot buns. I know you're the protagonist of this episode, but you should be dying right now. But the thing with comebacks, they always depend on the other player making a mistake. And now Hot Buns is staying alive, but her situation is still very precarious. You can also see the yellow player, because they spent so many turns attacking Hot Buns and only being on 13 troops. Now the blue player antagonizing them and getting into their continent, they have nothing left to attack them with. And that's why linear motions getting ahead and attacking someone very early on, yeah, it feels good attacking them, but it just kind of ruins your own game a little bit. And speaking of purple, by the way, I really dislike how they have like their 5s out here not doing anything. If they really want to be going for North America, they should be grouping all of their troops inwards instead. Hot Buns, though, with the set on 3, is staying alive right now. I cannot believe it, but I think she may actually be surviving right now, which is absolutely insane. And ooh, it looks like red's going to be killing the yellow player. They had to do a 5v2, but like the dice worked for them. And I like this as well because red is going to be getting a trade-in after eliminating yellow. So while green missed their kill, red did not miss a kill, which means that if Hot Buns did not trade in before, red may have just eliminated them instead. What red should be doing now is just trying to solidify their position and just leave as many troops on in Australia. As right now, the board is not solidified, right? No one yet has Europe. Actually, like red's the only one with a continent. And I like when I have Australia, but no one else has a continent. I like putting as many troops possible on Siam, because I want to really discourage anyone else from attacking. Because blue could potentially at any time, if they were a true like noob, noble Australia, no-win player, they can go for the attack and try to potentially take it out. But instead of going for Europe, which they had incredible claim to, again, this I think is a huge, huge mistake by like the blue player leaving. And this in turn gives Hot Buns opportunity, because the South America player being very, very aggressive, preventing her from getting Africa, she decides to claim Europe herself. Beautiful play right there. She is staying alive, and kind of like the first turn, which is where she was like aggressively attacking someone and it kind of bit her in the face, she's now in a spot where she is staying alive. And wow, red is strong right now, you guys. If I was red, I would just be putting that 16 back down, because if blue wanted to, if they had a set right now, well, they have to have a set. They're on 5 cards. But if they were on like 28 troops, if they really wanted to, they can go down, attack this 4 and 10, and just take over Australia. A lot of new players with Australia will think that way. So again, not leaving this as strong as possible, I think, is a mistake. And the blue player, as she gets a follow, does trade in, and then, oh my gosh, they invade. Oh my goodness, I think that was such a huge, huge blunder by the blue player. They really should have just stayed in Europe and then taken over Europe when they could. Or just have hit Hot Buns, because Hot Buns was a lot weaker. And instead, they just infuriated the strongest player in the game. They will be getting a set sooner or later, and they can just go right back into the blue player. But this game is just crazy right now. So much attacking taking place. And I think what's keeping Hot Buns alive is that no one's been taking out this too. So she's really well spread out. And after, interesting, she's deciding to take over Europe. I would put this a little bit as a mistake, And I think this is a mistake because she's putting targets on herself, right? Like when you look at the other players, right? Blue will probably be continuing to attack the red player, and red being angry. So then who's left, right? Well, purple has like no idea what they're doing because they're just leaving all these little stacks around and they're not getting a strategy together to take over a continent. But no one's taken a big continent yet, so it's a bit of a wild card to see how they would react. However, the green player, I think, could be doing a lot of damage to you. And I think the green player can even eliminate you if they wanted to. Like, if they just left only a 5 here, and you can see right here they're invading you. This is the correct move to be invading you right now. You should not be letting one of the weakest players get a strong continent. The small continent players should be attacking the big continent players so that way they can solidify their advantage as blue takes over Australia. But they are not very long for this world because the red player is likely to have a trade-in and smack them really, really hard. Hot Buns decides to get her continent back, but she's only on 26 troops. If the green player has a set on 4, which is very, very common, even if it's just like a 6 set has like a 29, that's going to be very likely to eliminate the pink player from the game. As it looks like, by the way, red, who's already shown very good kills taking out yellow, now is going in and taking out blue. Like, blue's decision to attack instead of taking Europe was, again, like a mistake. So, crazily enough, Hot Buns has managed to survive the brink of death, being avoided being eliminated by the green player, then capitalize on the blue player's mistake to be able to take and hold Europe. And by the way, like, Hot Buns should be getting invaded by red, who is not invading. And green, it looks like they don't have a set. So now they're in a tough spot because if Hot Buns has a set, they can just throw it all into green and they can lose their entire advantage. So now it all comes down to purple. Like, purple, crazily enough, could almost eliminate Hot Buns from the game. But instead they just park a stack right next to them. So multiple player mistakes has allowed Hot Buns, I can't believe this, to come back in this game. She's alive. She's actually close to leading this game right now. And I like this. She's defending against purple. And because she's defending like well against like the other players, she wants to now just stabilize, own her continent, and then based on this situation, slowly push herself towards getting a win. Absolutely beautiful stuff right here. And this is like the comeback of like legends. And I think what the audience, what you can be taking from this game here is first, the importance of knowing when you should be attacking another player versus when you are choosing to try to move out like a player's way. Like, Hot Buns can have predicted yellow to react that way, but the move of, I think, attacking them and then accepting their alliance put them like in a really tough spot, right? Where it's kind of like a slap in the face and then they're going to be attacking you. Then, if you are in a really tough position, try to exploit your opponent's mistakes when you can. Blue going into red was a huge mistake when they should have just taken Europe, and that's what allowed Hot Buns to establish an advantage. And then try to be passive when you can and let the other players attack and just try to survive. Hot Buns is now leaving small troops on her borders, and I like this way. Like, she's using a nice little kind of 2-point guard. Like, I now eventually I may want to recommend moving the 15 from the southwestern area of Europe to the Western Europe location right here, because you want to try just to maintain borders. And eventually what I can see happening is the green player should be taking over Africa and stabilizing. The red player will just continue holding Australia. What purple should have been doing a while ago is taking over North America, but since again they were leaving too many troops around, they failed being able to do this. And we should have been entering the 4-player endgame scenario where one player owns North America. One player owns South America and Africa. One player owns Europe. And they leave their respective troops on the Ukraine, Middle East, and Kamchatka. These 3 territories right here. And then the Australia player gets fricked. But that doesn't really happen. This game actually goes on for another 27 minutes because I'm at 1.5 times speed. I think I've already covered like the key aspects of this game. So I'm just going to cut ahead to like the 50-minute mark. I'll link the video if you want to like to see this happen. But there's just a lot of card trading. Yeah, again, we're at the 47-minute mark. And you can see we are right at the same situation as before. Hot Buns is mostly in the lead. Green is finally taken over Africa. And they're both about equal in troops. And eventually we can see the red player just gets fed up at green and they decide to go ham into them. It looks like there was a self-destruct, but Hot Buns was able to recover from that absolutely atrocious start from the yellow player going into them. This is where the mechanical skill comes into play because now with green attacking red very aggressively, with the green player being on 70 troops and 4 cards, purple player 5 cards and 81 troops. Okay, now, yeah, and the red player being on 12. The total of all of this is 80, 60, and 10 for 150. It's a Hot Buns has basically more troops, okay, now than the other players combined. We can also see with the green player being on 5 cards, Hot Buns is guaranteed to get a trade-in, and they take out red, they'll also get a trade-in. So they will be gaining 20 troops on the attack and the attacker's advantage on purple. Hot Buds can and should be going for the win here. And let's see what she does. And yes, she does go for it. She does leave a little bit of extra troops down here. But I think overall this is fine. She needs about 10 to go in and take through Australia and eliminate the red player. And it's good. She's eliminating it right at the halfway mark. Now her time is going to go back down to 0. Beautiful, beautiful mechanical play right here. We can see, by the way, leaving like these slightly bigger sacks, like the negative aspect of this. Because by doing this, she's now going to have a lot less troops to directly attack her opponents with. That's one thing to keep in mind, like in the endgame scenario. Even though she's ahead of her opponents, she has a lot of troops stuck right here that cannot be used. But now she's going in for the attack. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. She could have, I don't think she needed all of those troops right there. She could have potentially thrown a couple more into the player. And again, I would have probably attacked like the 17 and just leave 1 stack left. Again, you want to try to take as many territories as possible. Because if you've taken out almost everything else besides these 2 territories here and just left the 20 and park the 15 right here, purple may not have been able to do anything at all. But since Hot Buns is so far ahead on troops, it doesn't even matter. And the purple player didn't even attack as many territories as possible, which is a big mistake on their end. So Hot Buns gets the comeback and gets the win in a very, very nice game right here. Congratulations to her, and make sure to check out her video as she uses more incredible editing techniques. But this is OliveXC signing off.